Hello and welcome to You're Not Alone Life with Disabilities and Depression. I'm your host, Kelly Clark, and today I actually have my very first guest on. And, um, yeah, so, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, my name is David Johnson. I'm from Dawson Creek, BC. Very close to you, only an hour away. I'm born with a disability. I was born with a seizure. I was born with a attention deficit disorder, minimalized brain damage. I was deaf when I was a little baby and used to have seizures, but I get to drive now. And now I am working for Community Living BC as a strategic initiative advisor, and that's an agency that gives funding to nonprofit agencies out there. We give you guys funding to offer services to people with lived experiences like life skills and all that kind of stuff to help them better their lives.
Awesome. Um, what would you say, as someone with a disability, is one of the hardest things you've had to deal with or you've come across?
Oh, the hardest thing was when I first came up here. I moved from Vernon, and I came up here and I came to school. And the hardest thing was coming to school up in South Peace, and I guess the hardest thing would be being accepted for a person who has a disability, who learns and was different. And that was the hardest thing, was going into school and not making friends very easily, because back then I was in a classroom. It was a classroom where it was just where people with disabilities used to call be basic ed, where you just go in there and you go into a room and you do classes in there, and you weren't. And once that was done, then they started allowing me into regular classrooms with other people. So yeah, the hardest thing was going to school and being accepted, and that was the hardest thing for me.
I have to I have to say that that was also a hard thing for me growing up as well, because people, you know, I find they fear what they don't understand. And
Yeah,
I found with my disability, even like the EAs and the teachers misunderstood or didn't try to understand. They just put you in a box and we're like,
yeah,
oh, he's not smart enough to do this, so we're gonna make him do something else instead.
yeah. Back then, yeah, I find that back then they did put you in a box, and it did take a while, but then they you know they started integrating us into regular classrooms, being in classroom like everyone else. So that was good, and I like that because I wasn't in just a typical classroom where people with lived experiences would be put into. I got in regular classroom, got to be in a regular classroom and be integrated. But for me, that was still hard because when I went to school, I didn't really make friends very well. I walked the hallway always alone, and I ate lunch alone, and it took a long time before I made friends with people that weren't and
That,
didn't have the ability. So it took time for me to make friends and be connected with people.
yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, when I was going to school, I didn't really have trouble making friends, but it was hard to know who you could trust and, like, are they just being your friend out of pity or, you know?
Yeah, I always wondered that too, if they were being friends because they wanted to feel sorry for me and all this kind of stuff. That was where my mind was, and you know, I finally made friends in school after maybe 6 months, and you know, they started treating me like anybody else, and they saw that I was a person, and you know that they saw that I could do things that anyone could do as long as I set my mind to and had the right supports in there. So that I made friends very easily in school. So then after that, I started. I graduated, but I only graduated with not with a diploma. I had troubles with math, so I had to graduate with modified grade 12, and I found that uh, hard because you know everyone else could go back to a university and take courses and get a trade, and it's hard for me to get in school because I wanted to go back to college. I wanted to take a social worker course because I wanted to uh, help people with lived experiences to help them better their lives and achieve anything they set their mind to. But I got told to take the cooking course because they could modify the cooking course, but they couldn't modify the social work course for me. So that was a hard thing for me to acknowledge because I did take the cooking course, but I had problems taking 9 hour doing cooking things and cooking 9 things in 6 hours. I passed the modules, but it wasn't something I was passionate about, so I wasn't successful because my goal was always to work with disability people and help them achieve their life better. So I did a path where you have where it was on the wall, a 5-year path, and all this kind of stuff, and you know, it was hard to accept, and I wouldn't give up because I really wanted to work with people with disabilities, but it took me 5 different paths. I had a path with some people that were there to help me support me to achieve my goal, and I had to fire my path team 5 times before I found the right one that helped me achieve my goal and helped me achieve where I wanted to go. So I was involved in with the People's First provincial group in Dawson Creek in the provincial board, and that was ran by people with lived experiences. And we ran the People's First group on our own, and we went out in the community and advocated in our community to make businesses and more businesses to hire people with lived experiences and accept us for who we are, because my belief is that anybody can work at any job as long as they have the right supports in place, and I believe that.
Exactly.
And you know, and then I got involved with my group, and then I got involved with the provincial board, People's First Provincial Board. I was president, vice president, and I was the president, and that's a group.
Yeah.
As presidents from all across different People's First groups across BC, and that's where I learned how to advocate on behalf of me and to the government and provincial government. And I went out there to, you know, people can speak up. People with lived experiences can speak up for themselves, but there's people out there that can't. So I advocated on behalf of my group and other groups across BC, the provincial and federal government, for them to make things more accessible for people with lived experiences across BC, whatever it is, education, low-cost housing, that kind of stuff, you know, and all this kind of stuff. So I got involved in that, and then I moved on to the Sub-Aggregate Foundation board and did that, and then you know, I found somebody who believed in me. So then I started connecting with the social work group where I went to because I wanted to get services, and I found out about this community council for North that
Mm.
I sat on for my region to tell CLBC what people out there wanted services through CLBC to help them better life with people with lived experiences. Got involved in that, and then I got on editorial board. That's through CLBC down south, and you can get on that. That's for people with lived experiences, and that's where you help them with their citizen magazine that comes out and helps them, speak, help, and you put stories in there. So then I applied, and then I got hired to do a contract job through CLBC, Community Living BC. That's not like Dawes Creek side for community living. That's a different agency. And then I got contracted with them to put a presentation, Passing the Purpose presentation about my experiences of how my dream, how my passion dreamt, and how I was successful in the work, getting a job, and telling people that. So then I did that, and then all of a sudden there's a job through Community Living BC where they hired 5 people with lived experiences across BC.
Yeah.
To get hired as strategic initiative advisor, and I got hired for the whole North. So I represent the whole North from 100 Mile House all the way to Prince Rupert, all the way to Prince George, all the way up here to all the way to Port Nelson. I represent the whole North. I'm a strategic initiative advisor for the whole North, and I help them. I represent the whole North, and I represent people with lived experiences. And I'm a strategic initiative advisor, and I help CLBC work on projects to help people with lived experiences better their lives and help them achieve whatever and help them. These projects I help them with will help people with lived experience help better their lives, whatever they want to do in their life. So I help them with projects. And so I finally got my dream job. But, it took time to get this job because, with me, I had a lot of jobs when I was young. When I moved up here, I got typical jobs, like typical jobs where people thought I could fit in. Like, I'm talking about McDonald's or a newspaper or all those kinds of, things, and landscaping. And those were all good jobs. They brought money into me, but it wasn't really something I was passionate about. See, I'm really passionate about wanting to help people who with lived experience and help them better their lives. Be able to help them, and I want to help people in any aspect that they want. If they want advice from me, that's fine, because I will never give up, because I believe anybody with a disability could go back to education, get a trade of any sort, or work, as long as the right supports are in place. And that's my belief. And if anybody tells me that cannot be done, I tell them they're full BS.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I'd have to agree with you there. If anybody tells you you can't do something, they're definitely in the wrong, because you can do anything you set your mind to.
You got that right. And took me time to learn that, because I've had jobs where I had them, but I got fired from some of them because I had kind of I had attitude where it was my way or the highway because back then I was struggling, so I had to take a deep dive into myself
Mm.
and really look at myself because I thought that people owed me something when I wanted stuff, and it's not. People don't owe me anything. If you want something in your life,
You got to
you can't
go
expect
for it.
you can't expect people to do it for you. You have to. Do you want help? You have to make an effort and show them that you're willing to do the work, part of the work yourself, before someone else will come and help you.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to learn. And that was a tough thing for me to learn. It was because, the world is different today, because there's too much war out there. Too many people are dying in other countries, and I'm very sad that I see homeless people in Dawson Creek and Orchard John, and I'm very sad that I see that some of them are people with lived experiences out there. I don't like seeing anybody on the street. If I had, I want to help everyone in any way that I can, and I think there has to be more low-cost housing in Dawson Creek.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be more homeless shelters in Dawson Creek because there's not enough. Because we got homeless shelters, but we still got people living on the street.
Yeah.
I just feel that the Dawson Creek has done about the Dawson Creek and the Peace Region has done a lot of good work to make stuff accessible for people with live experiences in Dawson Creek and in the Peace Region, but I think there still needs more work to be done around low-cost housing and affordable housing because the rent is high right now here.
Yeah.
I think the food prices are high, and gas prices and hydro because understand needs to be high, but there's people out there that are on a fixed income, and I just think that we need to at least have affordable housing. Well, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you there. There needs to be more that needs to be done. Um, and the sad part is it's it's not it's not getting done the way it should be.
Yes, it isn't, but they are trying. There's people that are out there that's really trying to make our community better. Like we got MLAs and mayor and city council, and they do a lot in our region. They try.
Yeah.
They can only do so much. They only have so much budget in the city to make these changes.
Yeah.
And and our MLAs are trying to do what they could do provincially and federally to speak for the people that they represent and tell the people in the area what needs to be changed in our regions and like that. It's just that I just think that the gas prices in Dawson Creek for this vehicles is outrageous. I have a car. I'm a person with a little experience. I have a car, and I got to drive. I don't have seasons anymore. I grew up when I was 12, but I think the gas prices are outrageous here. You just get gas here. You're paying right now. I'm paying 166.9 just for gas now.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Shoot.
and I just think that gas prices prices should be lower. I understand that, stuff goes up, but pretty soon you up all these prices for stuff like clothing or food or whatever,
Yeah.
or rent or hydro or telephone. Pretty soon you won't be able to survive. People are struggling as it is.
Well, and people can barely survive now. Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. People can barely survive now.
yeah.
It's just everyone tries. I know that, and I understand that. But people got to realize, people live experiences, and if we're on, and even on, like I'm gonna tell you right now, is even you being on disability, you sure can't survive on what you get on PWD either, though.
No, you can't.
Because you can pay rent and pay your bill and maybe a little bit of food, but it's not enough to survive because everything goes up. So, in my opinion, I think the income assistance needs to be raised higher than what it is now.
Yeah.
And like I know in Alberta, I don't know if you know this, on PWD in Alberta, they get more on PWD in Alberta for one person than what you get in BC.
Why?
I don't know that. What I know though, because someone told me that they get more money for one person. They get over 2,000 something over there on PWD for one person, more than what we get here.
Jeez.
And even if you're like a married couple, you get more as a couple on PWD in Alberta than what you get here too.
Jeez.
And my opinion is,
it should be equal.
I think it should be equal all across Canada.
Yeah.
PWD.
Yeah.
But it's not.
That's what I mean.
Like, each province has PWD higher than what we got. That's crazy. Like, I just feel that we need people with income assistance need more money to survive and be able to live. Or pretty soon, if we can't afford, if rent keeps getting high, I feel that maybe some people with income assistance might end up on the street because they can't find a place to live or can't rent, can't survive.
Yeah.
When you go pay rent, you gotta pay your your down deposit and half your rent when you first rent, and that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, look at when COVID started.
Well, yeah, that was even worse. That was even worse because when COVID hit, and where I couldn't go anywhere, and I had to stay in my house, and COVID, and I had nothing to do. That was not a good experience for me because I felt very depressed that I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah. For me, it was really bad because I felt like, they told me, they're like, oh yeah, if you get the vaccines, you'll be able to have visitors again. And then I got the vaccines, and they're like, no, we still can't have visitors. And I'm like,
well, yeah,
you just told me, like, and now you're going back on your word.
And I understand this COVID, and they keep saying, they kept, I already got 4 COVID shots for this stuff.
Yeah.
And And they said, yeah, the code will protect you. You won't get sick. Well,
Yeah.
that was a bunch of hogwash because you got COVID, you got shot. People still got COVID and they still got sick. And
Yeah.
and they but you didn't get sick as bad, I guess, because you took COVID and all this. But
But
uh,
but even some of the people that took the shots sometimes even got it worse
right, right,
than the ones,
and
you know, like,
so that was bad. And yeah, so I didn't really like being told that I couldn't go anywhere. And then when you went out in the community, oh, you had to stay away. You couldn't be in big groups, and you had to wear masks and blah blah blah. They said masks were mandatory, but when you got told that you had to wear masks when you were allowed to go outside, you got told to wear masks because you had to wear masks around people. Some people didn't even wear the mask when they got told to wear them.
yeah.
And then people got told not to go anywhere and stay home when they had COVID. And then you go out you go out in the community. There's people out there coughing and hacking around the community. So I don't know.
The one the one thing that got me, which I found kind of funny, was instead of like giving hugs or whatever, they wanted you to like elbow each other instead of like doing like a high five. They wanted
Oh
you,
yeah, you couldn't do a high five. I remember that. You had to do an elbow.
yeah. You'd have to
But
do you'd have to do your elbow. I thought it was the most ridiculous thing I'd heard of. I was
well,
like,
yeah. Why would you say not to give a high five, but it's okay to do elbow? You're still touching elbow to elbow.
exactly.
So now I'm in a job that I'm really passionate about, but I fought for it, and it was really something I was passionate about. So my belief is, if you really are passionate about something
Fight
in
for
your
it.
life, and you want to go back to get an education, you want to do something that you're passionate about,
Fight for
and
it.
you want to think outside the box, and you want to achieve it, and people tell you that you can't do something that you're passionate about and you want to go back and achieve it, keep
Yeah.
fighting for it and go back and do it, because I never gave up, and I got to my passion in my job where I want to be now. I never gave up. I kept fighting and kept fighting for what I wanted. So my choice, anybody out there, don't give up on your dreams or your goals. Just fight for it and be passionate about it, and you'll achieve anything you set your mind to. But don't let anybody tell you can't do it or say that you can't do it, because it can be done, because I've done it.
Exactly. Well, like for me, for example, I'm a student at Northern Lights College
Way
in
to go. Yeah,
in,
that's awesome.
in Fort St. John, and for
Yeah,
the
I know where that is, yeah.
in the first couple of years that I was there, I did not have a washroom to use. Um, like I didn't have a lift. I didn't have nothing. I had to fight with the college to make it wheelchair accessible.
Really?
Yeah,
That is,
total
can't believe that happened.
like, and they're like, well, we can't do it for just you. I'm like, I understand that, but it's not just me. It's gonna be whoever comes after me, you know, because
Yeah, the colleges, Northern Lights College is a good college, but yes, if they need to make colleges across BC and Canada-wide and worldwide accessible for people with disabilities. They need to have accessible bathrooms,
exactly,
disability bathrooms, accessible bathrooms, wheelchair buttons to push to open doors, everything like that. They gotta have accessible classrooms,
Exactly.
tables low enough for people to bring their wheelchairs in, all that, and that's good, It needs to be done across in every business across Peace Region needs to be accessible for people with lived experiences, whatever that is. There's lots of disabilities out there. There's physical, emotional, wheelchair, people in wheelchairs, people that are blind, people that are deaf, need to have stuff in Braille, need to have,
Exactly.
people that say things on a website or any internet, the person who is deaf, who can't hear, and she'll have pictures or show it in pictures so people with lived experiences, if you get shown pictures, they learn better, to learn, see it in pictures or whatever. But, there needs to be stuff more in Braille for people that are blind because I don't feel that we have enough of that in the resources, in resources that businesses put out there is not in Braille enough for people that are blind and everything. They have to make everything plain language and everything accessible for people with disabilities, whatever it is, in every business, that is out there.
And there needs to be accountability for, when people don't do what they should do to make things more accessible.
Yeah, I agree. There has to be accountability. Yes, very much accountability for people that don't make things accessible because we people with disabilities is part of the community in Dawson, Fort John, Hudson Hope, Taylor, Tubman Ridge, Chetwynd, Fort John, Fort Nelson, Eris, Farmington, Tom's Lake. We're part of the community, and
Exactly.
you have to make stuff very accessible for people with disabilities in these regions because we are part of the community, and you have to make everything very, very, very inclusive for us to be able to be part of your community, whatever that is, to make it accessible and easy for us. That's what accountability is.
Exactly.
And that's what needs to be done.
Well, like, I even find, like, in Fort St. John, for instance, there's places that are not wheelchair accessible. Like, for instance, I went to, where was it? A&W the other day, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's so stupid. They got the ramp there so you can get in there, right? But the ramp is like right near the parking space. So if you park in the parking space, you have no access to the ramp.
Okay, so I went somewhere the other day. Like I went downtown with our businesses to see that, like our businesses, a lot of them, uh, if you want a wheelchair to go in there, you have to hold the door open just to get a wheelchair in there, and that's not very accessible. A lot of businesses don't have endoscopy buttons for wheelchairs to press when the door comes open. And
No.
a lot of businesses in Dawson Creek here doesn't have ramps.
Yeah.
Ramps for people with wheelchairs getting to businesses because they have stairs, and that's not very accessible for somebody with a wheelchair to get in.
No.
I went to somewhere like my public library in Dawson Creek. Now, get this, okay? You got one floor, right?
Yeah.
For books.
Yeah.
But you got upstairs for books, right? But no one with a wheelchair can get upstairs because there's no stairs. There's no way anybody with a wheelchair can get upstairs and get books.
Yeah.
They don't have a ramp in the library to do that, and they don't have an elevator to do that. So if anybody with a wheelchair wants books, you have to go ask somebody at the library to go up there to bring the book, to get the books for you and bring them down to you. So that's not very accessible for people, and I think that they need to make our public library accessible for people in a wheelchair or anybody in disability, so they can go from the lower level to get to the higher, to the up to the second level to get books on their own.
Exactly. Everybody deserves the right to access whatever they need in order to enrich their lives. Like,
Yes, and I believe that a person with a disability don't want people to do it. They don't want people doing it for them. They want to be able to do and go get things on their own. And when you don't have that opportunity for you to go from the lower level of the library up to the next level of the library, it's a disadvantage, and it feels like a crutch to people in a wheelchair, and
exactly.
they don't feel good when they need to get help from somebody and have them to go up and get the books for you and bring them down. That is not that's not accessible.
Yeah,
People want to get their books on their own, and
ex-
they have the right to be able to go get the books on their own on the second level of the library in Dawson Creek if they want to.
exactly. Everybody deserves to have access to what they need or what they want without having to ask for help. Because between you and me, I hate asking for help. I always have. And that's one thing I really struggle with. Like, people tell me, well, that's just the way things are. Well, it's kind of it's crappy having to ask for help all the time.
And me, I don't like. I'm a person with experience. I don't want to help if I don't need to. I'm capable of doing things on my own, and I
Exactly.
want to do things on my own. And I feel like if I ask for help and I have to get somebody to help me do something, then I'm put into this special box.
Yeah.
Like like it sounds like I'm in a special box. Like when I was put into that disability classroom in high school, where it was for the first start, it was a classroom where you just did your homework in the classroom, and I don't want to be in a typical classroom or feel like that when someone does something for me, I feel like I'm put in this special box because I don't need to be in a special box. I don't need people to speak up for me. I don't need people to go out and do things for me or speak for me or do things on my own because I'm capable of doing it on my own.
Exactly.
And let me do things on my own. Don't assume. There's I've learned that there's people out there, not all people, but some people, that really think that they need to do things for you, people with disabilities, and they don't. Let us do
Exactly.
it on our own. Let us try on our own first. And if we can't do it, then we will ask for help.
Exactly.
Don't do things for anybody if you don't ask. Don't go out there and do things for people with disabilities uh, unless they ask for help. Just let them do it and
Yeah.
stay out of the way until they ask for help. And if they ask for help, then you can help them. But if they don't help them.
Exactly. Like I know for me, like sometimes it's like, you know, like my mom, for instance, like she would say to me, Like, I'd like to have somebody go with him when he's walking around outside, right? Because I've had a couple accidents in my trailer, right?
Oh,
And I
okay, yeah.
and I was like, well, mom, like I understand where you're coming from, but you also need to see where I'm coming from. Like I don't want somebody following me around, you know, because I want to do my own thing. I'm a 29-year-old guy, like I want to be treated as an adult, not a child.
Yeah, and my way of brought up was different than you because my mom and my brothers and sisters and my dad, they all believed in what I was capable of. So they supported me in life to do things, and they supported me and they believed in things that I could do. So I had a loving mom and a loving dad and a loving brother and a loving sister that was there for me no matter what. They loved me. They accepted me for who I was. They accepted me for my disability. They didn't see me different. They just saw me as part of the family and part of the community like everyone else. So I had good parents in my life, and
Well,
I had good I had good acquaintances, good coworkers, good friends that believed in that same thing for me. But it took time for me to find these people, though.
and I had good people in my life as well. I had like my mom, but like my mom, she didn't want to let go of the reins a little bit,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and that's one thing I'm kind of glad for my brother in that sense because my brother, like, before my mom, like, when I was living with my mom wasn't letting me, like, really go out by myself until one day my brother said to my mom, he goes, he's 18 years old. You need to let him, you know, do his own thing.
yes. And I find, that there's people that have lived experiences out there,
Mm,
and they have parents,
yeah.
and I find, now I don't know if you know this, if you know this, but I find some parents can't get past seeing their children with disabilities, and they you tell their parents, you see the parents with these disability people, and you tell these parents that your person with a disability can do anything they set their mind to, as long as they get, as long as the right support are in place. But there's still some people that have
A hard
disability
time.
children that have a hard time to let go, and they still can't get their mind across that their kid could do anything they set their mind to, even if they have whatever disability they have. They can't get past their disability to believe that they can be successful out there in the workforce like every other person with a life experience.
I know, like, for, like, my dad, for instance, my dad could never get past the fact that I was disabled. Like, he, he just, he, he couldn't accept it,
Yeah,
and to this day, he still can't. And it's like, well, dude, this is the way it is, and this is the way it's gonna be, and you know, you have to learn to accept it. Even though sometimes, I'll say this, sometimes I even have trouble with it myself, trying to accept it, and, you know, and like, I've had people say to me, like, for instance, like, I've come across, like, religious people, right?
oh yeah, yeah.
And they're like, oh, God didn't make you that way. I'm like, well, yeah, He did. You know, I'm this way for a reason. I'm obviously meant to be this way if I am this way.
You're darn right.
You know,
And
like,
I believe that everyone is born this way for a reason. And I was born with a disability, and I had a hard time accepting that I was born with a disability. I had a hard time accepting that I was deaf when I was a little baby, and I had to get when I was a little baby, I had to get tubes put in my ears because I was deaf, and I had a hard time for that. So, uh, and I had a hard time accepting that I was born with minimal brain damage, and I was born with attention deficit disorder and a learning disability. I had a hard time accepting that when I was young, growing up, and I felt like back then I felt unloved and unwanted because I felt like when I was in school, like when I was younger, because everyone saw me different in school. I had a learning disability. Like I felt like that I
like,
wasn't loved and wanted because of my disability. But then, and I got picked on in school, and I was bullied in school when I had a learning disability. And I had a loving mother who
yeah,
fought for me, and a dad who fought for me in school, and they fought for everything for me, and they said and they believed in me 100% on my capabilities and being successful and being in a job that I'm passionate about, and they believed that I could do anything as long as I set my mind to. And I love my mom and my dad to this day. I love my brother to this day, my sister to this day.
yeah,
It's just, when I was younger in my family, I sometimes thought because of my disability and the way I was born that my mom and my dad back then I thought they loved my brother and my sister more than me because they were born without a disability and I had a disability. And at first I thought I wasn't. Thought at first I wasn't accepted by my brother and sister because of my disability, and I thought I wasn't accepted by my dad and my mom when I was born. But they proved me wrong about that because it was something in my mind that I thought to myself that my family didn't love me and didn't want me around because I had a disability. It wasn't what they said. They never told me that to me.
it was, it
It's
was,
something I believed in. Something that I thought in my mind and heart that I wasn't being accepted by my family, and I thought I was being treated differently by my family, and I was dead wrong about that. My back when I was young, that's the way I thought. When I got a little bit older, it changed that the way I thought that they saw me was
yeah,
different. They loved me. They opened their hearts for me. Um, they accepted me. They fought for me in school, and they stuck up for me. So that opened my eyes of the way I thought I was feeling about my family when I was born,
yeah,
and where I was not being accepted
yeah,
by my family. I was dead wrong, and I don't know why I thought that because when I was born, I was a little younger, and I had a disability, and I was different. I don't know why I thought that my parents or my family didn't love me. It's just something that
something wasn't right.
something wasn't right. Yeah, something wasn't right, and for some reason I just thought that way, and in my mind now, I feel anybody out there that has parents who have a lived experience child loves you no matter what. And don't ever think that your parents don't accept you or love you. Don't think it in your mind. Don't even think that when you're first born, because that is your own feeling and your own feeling that you're feeling. But if they don't tell you, and it's just something you're thinking in your mind and thinking that you aren't loved,
ask them.
ask them, because you're dead wrong. Because they love you, they'll fight for you, and they will fight for you to have things in your life so you have a good life, so you have food, clothing, or whatever you want in your house. Your parents love you no matter what.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the way I felt when I was first born, and I was wrong. My mom and my dad and my family loved me, and I loved them, and they were always there for me. And I know that some people with lived experiences, I feel bad for people with lived experiences that are born and they don't have anybody. Like, I feel bad that I know there's people with lived experiences out there that probably have lost their mom or dad. They don't have anybody, and they need to know, the people out there that lose their parents, they're loved no matter what out there by their friends, their co-workers, their community. All love people. They all love you. Even if you don't have a family or anybody. There are people out there that love you and will support you and help you achieve your goal, even if you don't have family. So don't ever think negative about yourself. No one with a lived experience or a disability should ever feel negative about themselves, because there's people that love you out there and care for you, and they'll be there for you to help you.
Awesome. Yeah. Uh, well, that is definitely very insightful.
You're welcome, Joe.
Thank you. And thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, and I'll keep in touch with you. I'm only in Dawson. I'll be your friend, and maybe one day when I come up to Fort John, I can get together. We can get together for coffee or something.
Sounds good.
All right, Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was another episode of You're Not Alone, Life with Disabilities and Depression. I'm your host, Kelly Clark, and thanks for listening. Bye.